in a small town down in Arkansas, where the river flows, there's a man with a passion that everybody knows.
Howdy, howdy everybody. Welcome to HT's EDC. Coming at you from the back patio where it looks like half of my face is going to be in the sun. I have done let it get a little later. Sun get up on me today for my video, and I guess that's what you get. I have tried to move this umbrella. We got a new umbrella, but it is just not going to block everything, so we're gonna make the best of it. But that is why probably for most of this video, this left side of my face will be all shiny. What about this young lady down here? Everybody knows my sidekick, YouTube's little sweetheart, Miss Abby. She is in her spot, and we are going to get at it this morning. Brief recap. Yesterday we went to Dewaine and I. You may have seen we have a part 1 and a part 2 video where we discuss what we were toting, the day upcoming on the part 1 video. Dewaine had a little passage, a little scripture he snuck in there, a little word of inspiration. That was awesome, Dewaine. Open tag. It also went with Brother Stephen at Sanctified EDC's open tag, so don't want to forget that. But that was cool. But anyway, we did a little part 1 video from the Love's truck stop parking lot. We both got us a breakfast sandwich and retooled the coffee and everything, and we filmed a little video just showing what was in our pocket, explaining that where we were going to the yesterday happened to be Bossier City, Louisiana. You guys know, if you've never heard of Bossier City, it is basically right next door, sister town to Shreveport, Louisiana, which most of you have probably heard of. So that's kind of where we were yesterday for the show. And the show was a little bleak. We've had better. Now, got a lot of stuff in the comments about, you sound like you're depressed, you're complaining. Folks, let me get right up here. Any day that we are knife hunting, me and Dewaine are hanging out and we are hunting for pocket knives, is a good day. It is impossible to be a bad day. Now, saying that, have we had better shows as far as our selection? Have we had better shows for our part 2 video or haul, what we're toting home? Yes, we have, 100%. But that don't mean that I don't want to parlay that it was terrible, gloom and doom, the glass is half empty. No, not at all. We always have a good time. Sometimes the knives come to us, sometimes the knives don't come to us as much. Yesterday was part of that latter. They didn't come to us as much. We took home 7 knives. Most of you are saying, 7 knives, what are you complaining about? Touche, I get it. We picked hard for those 7, and actually 3 of those 7 weren't even at the show. We left the show and went to, I've talked about it before, should have brought the card out here, but a little case knife dealer there in Jefferson, Texas. We left Bossier City, Louisiana, and it's about an hour jog over to into Texas, into a little cool mom and pop town called Jefferson. And I had went there, I don't know, about a month back. You guys saw some of my videos. I picked up a lighter. I went to that store that day and did not get a knife. You guys remember that video? My trip to Jefferson, I got some stogies, got a few new cigars, got a cool lighter, but I didn't get a knife that day from that shop, and it is a stellar, killer cool knife shop there in Jefferson. If you like case knives, this guy has them. And he's got the stuff that, at least in mine and Dwayne's neck of the woods, you don't just go into a hardware store or a normal case dealer and see case selects. You don't walk in there and see Tony Bo's abalone trappers and Lanny's clip abalone, Tony Bo. I mean, he has got some stellar stuff that you just don't see on the day-to-day. Had a Coke bottle in there, Panama trappers, just kind of giving y'all an idea. Those patterns that are really hard to find, he's got a lot of them. And I went home with one that's I think is pretty hard to, not real prevalent, which is a back pocket. I showed it in yesterday's video briefly. There will be a video on that back pocket because it is pretty killer. But anyway, that being said, we left the show with four knives between us, and little disappointed in that show. We still had time to kill, and we were like, dadgummit, let's go to that Jefferson. I asked him, I said, you want to see that Jefferson store I was telling you about? He's like, heck yeah, I do. And it was like 52 miles, 54 miles, and we're like, let's do it. Anyway, we went there, and our total went from 4 knives between us at the show. We picked up 3 more, bringing it to 7. All 7 of them are in my, now 2 videos back in my part 2. If you want to see all 7 of what we took home, go over and check that out. It's not a real long video, but most of them, there will be long forms coming in the future. And this is the first one of those. And folks, I am dry mouthed and talking all kind of crazy. Better get 2. All right, let's see if I can talk a little better. This is the first one I am really excited about. And you're going to say, you might see my 4 that I took home. That's the one you're going to do your first video on. That's what's got you all hot and bothered. Yes, it does. And I'm going to tell you why. You've already seen the thumbnail. It is this guy right here. And folks, that is none other than a Gerber 650, which most people know as the Gator. And folks, why is this? Well, there's a couple reasons. This one's kind of unique in and of itself, and we'll get into the features of this particular knife. But why the Gerber 650? Why the Gator? Folks, this is the knife that started it all for me. This was this was back, we didn't even call it EDC back when I started this. This was my first carry knife. Had the big old nylon, had the black nylon with the Velcro side sheath. Because, I mean, this is a honking thing to carry, but it came with that nylon. You guys remember them, huh? Some of you do. Had the old nylon belt sheath. And, of course, we'll get into this. They weren't this color. They did not have this black blade that we'll get into. But all this was like a brushed satin on this blade here. Some of them, if you remember, were half and half. Like right here, the half of this blade right here would be serrated, and the other half would be just, would be full blade, would just be a flat blade. But yeah, there was a lot of different derivatives of this. There was, what was the smaller one called? The Gator Mate. The 6, shoot, I don't remember the number of that one. But there was the Gator, and then like a Gator Mate. It was a little bit smaller and thinner, but you guys know, smaller and thinner. What? This is it. And folks, look, this is the Buck 112 for me before the Buck 112. This thing, and I'm fixing to say a mouthful, so listen up. This is probably the second best, do I want to say first best? I can't give it first best. And it might be, and it might simply be, it's 1A and 1B with the Buck 112. You can go ahead and say what I'm wanting to say. And the reason I'm putting this 1B is probably because I hadn't toted this in so long, and I have just got so used to that comfort and that meld to my hand of the 112. They are both ergonomic dreams. Dreams. The Gerber Gator is one of the most ergonomic knives ever produced. You can argue with me down in the comments, but you better have toted it, and you've better toted it for a while. Don't you say, yeah, I picked that up, yeah, that's way too big, that thing can't be comfortable. Don't tell me that if you hadn't toted it. That's not fair. If you've toted this for, say, 2 or 3 weeks, a month, and you really gave this its day in the sun, like I got here, and you don't like it, touche, fair enough. Tell me down in the comments. I don't think there'll be many of you, because this thing is awesome. It is awesome in hand. You talk about just feeling like you can do something, like I can go cut down one of these pine trees. This thing right here makes you feel that kind of way. And like I say, it may be, if I carry this every day for 2 or 3 months, I may come back and say, man, Buck 112, but the Buck 112 is just absolutely perfect too. So we're talking about perfection and perfection in those two knives in the hand for me. And I know that is, bump the brakes, I know that is personal opinion, but I highly recommend those two knives. If you want a comfortable knife, you gotta be willing to have, if you gotta like a little heft. And actually, this one here is not near as heavy as the 112. This is as big and honking as this thing looks, it's not that heavy. And I want to show y'all something. Look, did you see me do a whole lot of, watch this. Folks, that's one of the most well-balanced knives ever made. That center point, the balance point of this knife, look there. See that? That's pretty cool, huh? They're great. They're fantastic. It's well balanced. It feels like just in the hand. And folks, as a young lad, 20-something years old, I would say my early to mid 20s is when I really got into toting pocket knives, and this was it. This was it. And thus, you see how far I go back. I like those side sheaves on my hip. Well, guess what? If you carried this, you carried that old nylon side sheath, and it wasn't really, low ride like these ones today. It's the ones that, it stood up a little bit over the old love handles and would jug me in the side. So if I toted this, I dealt with the side, the love handle jigging, and I just got used to it. Since then, they have made some, they have kind of cut out on that problem. You can get like some of those low ride side sheaves that I get from Brother Ed, Legacy Knives, shout out. But anyway, this is where it all started. This is where your boy started carrying side sheaves. This is where I got my love and my affinity for the biggins right here. Gerber, and who knows if that's going to come in with that glare, 650. And by the way, yes sir, this is Portland, USA. This is 100% and always has been the Gator line, made up in Portland, USA at the Gerber factory. So this is and always has been an American-made knife. My opinion, one of the staples. My opinion, I'll go further than that. My opinion, the best knife Gerber's ever made. Now, they've made some, I'll get some argument over that, but it's the best knife I've ever toted that had the name Gerber on it. There may be some stuff I've missed, but I can tell you right now, this is top 2 or 3 that's ever came out of that plant, and I'll stand on that all day and twice on Sunday, and today's Sunday, so I'd stand on it today twice. But anyway, this thing is so nostalgic. I love it. And I found this yesterday, and I'm like, and it was, of course it was down on the table and it was closed up. I'm like, looking at it, you know, all right, just imagine it down there laying flat on the table like this. I'm like, because you see, of course, what makes it a gator, we haven't even talked about that. This is a rubber handle. This is just a, I forget what they call this. They got their name for it. It's rubber. It's hardened rubber. And of course, there's where you get your gator. They got a hide, they got a texture on here, look at that. It looks like gator skin. And anyway, this thing's laying down the table like this, closed up. And I'm like, dog, that don't look like a Gerber gator, but thing's all black. That's not a gator, is it? And I go over there and I pick that thing up and says, buddy, can I pick this, can I check this knife out? Oh yeah, sure. I open that thing up, go to looking it over. This thing, and I've looked this up too. You guys, and I could be wrong on this, I have looked up black DLC Gerber Gator. I have looked up black oxide Gerber Gator special edition blacked out Gerber. I don't find a thing on the interweb about ever a production black of any kind Gerber Gator. If it's out there, let me know. Tell me who sold it. Was it a exclusive to some store? I have searched the internet for a blacked out, black this, black that Gerber Gator, and I ain't found it. So what I'm telling you is, somebody did this. Somebody took a Gerber Gator and fully customized this dude. And when I tell you fully, everything, the pins, the body pins, this thing has been, the button, the lock, everything is blacked out. And honestly, I love this finish. And I'm sure this light out here, right there, this is not, and this is personal preference, I'm not a big fan on the shiny, the real glossy black DLC blades. I don't like that. I don't like that reflective and kind of shiny. To me, personal preference, that kind of cheapens the knife. It just looks, I don't know, kitty. I don't know. I don't like them. I don't like a shiny finish on my blades. So if I do get a gray blade, a colored blade or whatever, or a black blade, I love it when it's just like matted like this and it's just muted down. I would call this like a black oxide. And folks, this thing is cooler than the other side of the freaking pillow. Look at that, all blacked out. I had to have it. I had to have it. It had to go home with me. I haven't had a Gerber, and the one I carried a long time ago as a child, wished I had that. Young man, 20-something years old, young lad. I wished I had that. Oh my goodness, because I mean, that would be the knife that started all the, HTCDC some 20 years later, but I don't. They come, they go, they get lost. I got one back in my collection, and this is just so cool. And since last night, we have customized it some more. Yours truly, no surprise, I have added a black. Got to make sure you're not going to put some gold or some silver looking thumb stud on this, are you? We got a nice black thumb stud on here. And if you can see right down there, there you go. That, sun's actually helping me out right there. I have added a sharpening choil to this because it was one of those knives. That's one thing about the Gator. The blade went all the way up here to the ricasso there, and that drives me absolutely bonkers. So we went in there and got the Dremel, and we added a nice sharpening choil. We add a thumb disc, and let's just go ahead and make a fool of myself on camera because it probably won't fling open on the first time, but we're gonna try and just see. See there? I knew it. There we go. Time to. Yes, I got to give it some wrist, but now I can pop this thing out one-handed, or as always, you can just slow roll it by adding the old thumb stud. But yeah, with a little wrist, hey, that was 2 out of 3. Got 2 out of 3 of them. But you know me, I like, if I got a hand on something, it ain't all about flicky with me. It's about being able to get this thing open and keep this hand free if I need to. If not, if I'm just taking my knife out to cut something, you're right, I just grab this thing and open it up. Who cares if your other hand is free? But in those scenarios, I think it's cool to have one of these on there that I can get this knife out and open if this hand is unavailable. So there's that. We're at the 20-minute mark. It is a Gerber Gator. You guys know this knife. If you've been in the knife community long, you may have forgot about it, but it is still as awesome as the day it came out. One of the best knives, I think, American knives made here in the States. Every one of them that's ever been produced have been. This is one of the best USA production knives that has ever been made. I will stand on that. Don't you fight me if you hadn't toted one. I'll listen to you in the comments, and you tell me why you think this isn't that good or it sucks, but don't you come from a place of not toting it. Oh, it's just too big. It looks like... Let's keep it real. We can hash it out or whatever, but I think most of it, if you've actually toted this, now this may, I 100% get this may be too big for you for a day to day, but how about a hunting knife? How about how about an application specific? You cannot tell me that this is not a great hunting, skinning, I'm not going to go bushcraft on this, but it's a hunting knife. But yeah, you need to get one in hand. If you ain't never toted one of these, and like I said, I don't have my scale out here, but they're not that heavy. It's big, it's thick. Look at that, how thick that thing is. With these rubberized handles, I mean, if this was wood or metal or something, oh yeah, this would be right up there with a buck 110. This would be 7-8 ounces. It's not. Like I say, and look at the balance of it. Right where it should be, right at, right behind the pivot. It's awesome, folks. Anyway, I am stoked to have one back in my collection. This is what started it all for HT's EDC, and yeah, we love it. Thank you guys. Anybody hung around 22 minutes for me to drive around the block 3 or 4 times on memory lane. God bless you. We're gonna let you go. HT, Miss Abby, we are out.
Buck knives gleaming under that old porch light. He'll tell their stories deep into the night. Reviews and torture tests, it's a sight to see. HT's